Direct from the Ed Bernstein Show archives, let's relive Ed interviewing two legendary musical icons. Hang on, we're traveling back to the 90s.
Hi, I'm Ed Bernstein. We have just a great show today. Our first guest is Ray Charles. Well, it's my pleasure to be with the genius, Mr. Ray Charles. Ray, thank you for coming on today.
It's all right, but watch your language.
I will behave. I promise you. I know that you're a very spiritual guy.
No. It's just it's a delight to when people use that word, a genius. But to be truthful, I know what they mean. They're giving my music the highest praise that they can. But to be true, I'm far from being a genius. But I certainly appreciate the compliment.
Well, your life has been so diverse, with the ups, with the downs, with the good, with the bad, that when all is said and done, it's those factors that go into a life that do create a genius.
Well, but when you stop thinking about it, I think the majority of the people who live on this earth go through good and bad. You have to have. See, everything on this earth, the one thing I discovered is everything, and I really mean everything, has an opposite. There is nothing that does not have an opposite. So as we live our lives, we're going to find, this is why you see people who are multimillionaires and yet they can, they can't find, they got the best doctors in the world, but they can't save their child.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, it's always something to let you know. And Mother Nature will also reminds you that you just like just a little grain of sand on the beach, because she can come through with a big earthquake or tornado and wipe you out.
And to some people, that thought is very overwhelming, and they give up.
I'm losing my mind.
No, that's okay. It's better than losing your mind. To lose your mic is okay.
Yeah, okay.
But there we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I like that, because that's real stuff what you just did.
Yeah. No, but a lot of people, it's overwhelming life, and some people, when things go bad, they just give up. You've been a man who has always fought for things that you believe in. You fought adversity as a child. You came from a childhood that was difficult, to say the least. Your dad abandoned you, your family as a child. You had a younger brother that you watched die.
Yeah.
And how old were you, 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Then you lose your sight and you lose your mother and all this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But you see, that's the left side.
Okay.
On the other hand, let's take the right side.
Give me the right.
The right side says, hey, I won the Kennedy Center Award. I've had the Brit Award. They named the state song of Georgia after me. I got what I've always dreamed of in my lifetime, is to have a big band to play in Carnegie Hall. And I won all kinds of Grammys, all kinds of keys to the city, all the kind of decorations, and the Medal of France, and all kinds of things. That's the other side, And yet, the beauty part about it is that I received these things while my health is well. I'm in good health, and I can truly appreciate. As opposed, I've received some things that normally people don't get until they die, and then they reward you then. They get. But I've been very, very lucky to be able to sit in the Kennedy Center and enjoy this great award with Lucille Ball and President Reagan and Nancy. I mean, you know, as a little kid, you used to walk around with patches on his pants, and yet I was sat down in the presence of 4 presidents of the most powerful country in the world. That ain't bad.
Not bad at all.
You see, that's what I mean by the left side. And the right. I'm sure I've had some bad things happening, but what I look at is that the good side has far more outweighed the bad side. The only tough thing that happened to me really that was really awful is my mom passing away. I mean, that almost
At
killed
that
me.
age?
Yeah, I was 15 years old. It almost killed me, really.
Yeah. But when you were a kid, I mean, overall you had a wonderful life. But when you're going through it as a child, and you're 12, 13 years old, 15 years old, you had to have thought then, boy, why is all this happening to me?
Yeah. Well, fortunately for me, though, I was lucky in that I had a great mom. What she always tried to instill little things into me coming up. Matter of fact, she used to always say, you know, son, I'm not going to be with you always. And of course, as a child, you figure, what are you talking about, Mom? You'll always be with me. Don't even go that way. You know, don't. But she would always say, no, but you got to learn how to be independent by it. Because even people who love you, they still have their own lives. You need to learn how to take care of yourself and be independent. Learn how to do whatever you need to do in your life. So I was brainwashed with this thing, you know. I had a lot of coaching from my mom to really prepare me for it. But like I say, when she passed away, I mean, that was such a shock to me because, you know, when you're a child and you love your mom, and my mom and I were almost like one, you know. And so, I mean, I was completely devastated. But then once I talked to this old lady, Mom Beck, who was a great friend of ours, and everybody in the neighborhood loved her, she told me, you know, your mom don't want you to be like this. Your mom always taught you to get up, make a way for yourself. Don't sit around here grieving and da. She's gone, but she always told you to carry on. Isn't that what your mom always told you? I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And then I started crying and stuff. But then eventually I began to understand what my mom tried to teach me. You got to find your own way.
And it's hard to do when you're alone.
It's hard to do, but it tells you, though, it can be done. It can be done. Why? Because I did it. I'm not bragging. I'm just being honest with you. I did it. I didn't have an aunt or an uncle or somebody I could go to and continue to live a normal life. When my mom passed away, I was alone in the world. I mean, that was basically it.
Your mom was your big inspiration.
That's right. My mom was my everything. That's it.
And was your mom musically inclined? No.
Couldn't sing a note. Couldn't play a note. Nothing. It's strange about it. I mean, nobody in my family could play any kind of. I don't know where it came from, but I just always loved music all my life. Ever since I was 3 years old, I just loved music. You know?
Did you play first or sing first?
No, I think it was. Well, I probably. Let's face it, I could sing before I could play because I didn't know how to play. I was trying to sing songs when I was 3 years old, but I was also trying to play the piano too. But I didn't know. I had this old man, Wiley Pittman, that was his name, Wiley Pittman. And I'd go and sit on the stool when he'd be playing boogie woogie and hit all the keys, you know, with my fist. And he said, no, kid, you know, that's not the way. Let me show you how to play little melodies. And he showed me how to start playing little melodies with one finger when I was 3 years old. You know, come out, little play, man, down, ding, ding. I remember very, when I was very little, like. But singing, you know, you didn't have to be trained to sing. I could sing whatever I heard. If I liked it, I could sing it.
Yeah. and your choice of songs and the way you sing has just gone on now for over 50 years.
Yes, sir.
You've transcended all the fads. I was watching the Rock and Roll Award show recently, and Billy Joel, who's a great fan. You really inspired Billy Joel. Did he name his daughter after you?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and he also wrote a great song that we did together called "Baby Grand." You know, my baby Grand, really a nice song. And he's a very, very extremely talented man. Of course, I don't need to tell you that. I'm sure you already know that. But he's a wonderful guy, and it's true. He loves me and I love him. I mean, we're very much into each other.
After all the years of performing, you still get the thrill from, and here you are, you're at the Orleans Hotel, a great place to perform. It's a great room, a great theater, and great orchestra, and you have great backup vocalists.
Yeah.
You still get the same kick out of it?
Oh, yeah. See, because why? Because it's good music. You see, as long as the music's good, that's the key to everything. It's true what Duke Ellington said. There's only two kinds of music, good and bad. And it's true. It really is. I mean, you guys can name it this and name it that and give all these titles. But when you bring it down, ain't but two kinds of music, good and bad, period. And this is what I like. I mean, of course, here I have my own organization. I have my own band, and of course, really, that's me all the time. So it's it's very natural what we do.
Not only is there only two kinds of music, there's only two kinds of people, and that's good and bad too.
You got that right.
And I know you were very active, with Martin Luther King, and during the '60s, in civil and human rights, and you still have been over the years. Do you think Martin Luther King would be happy today? How do you think he'd feel about the way things are today?
Well, I think Dr. King would be very much appreciative as to what has been done compared to what used to be. I mean, because let's face it, I remember a day when I couldn't go into the Hilton. I remember a day when I could come to Las Vegas and could play here but could not stay in the hotel.
Right.
This is Las Vegas. I could not eat in the dining room in Vegas. So, I mean, it's a lot. And I'm not knocking Vegas. I don't want you to think that. I'm just giving you some idea of how, if you ask about Dr. King, I think he can see what his message, it has had some effect. But it is a long ways, I'm sure he would be the first to say, that it is still a long ways away from what he was trying. Although, if I got your hands tied together and if I release one finger, that is progress, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
But that ain't the thing. You still kind of, got a leash around you. And I'm sure that he would see that and he would. But it's better. It's a lot better than. I mean, from his work, what he tried to do when he was on this earth. He caused a lot of things to become a lot better. We just have a long ways to go yet. But let's face it, the man did a wonderful job.
You talk about how things were. Wasn't it true when you were in the school, and it was a school for the blind, that they had the blacks and the whites separate?
Right.
And nobody could see who was who anyway, right?
Yeah, that's right. But that's true. They did. They had the kids were separated that way. And of course, naturally, all the good stuff was on the white side. Like the hospital was on the white side.
And the piano?
No, we had a piano. No, they had the students that was on one side and the students was on the other side. But the only thing that was on the white side was basically, like I said, if you got sick, you had to go over there.
What haven't you done musically that you still would like to do?
I've pretty much done everything musically that I wanted to do. I just like now, I can't teach because I don't have the patience for it, but I like to be a coach, where first you take a kid who has the elements, he's got all the ingredients, you know what I mean? And then I can show him and help him hone his talent. I can do that. I like to work with youngsters like that. You see, but as far as something from my personal thing, what I want, everything there is to achieve in the music business, I've done it. I mean, there is no kind of an award in this business that I don't have.
And
I'm not bragging. I hate to say
you don't have to brag.
But it's the truth.
When I was doing research, I just couldn't get over. I was just telling our producer on the way up here, I couldn't get over the number of awards that you have won. Which of those awards have been dearest to you?
You can't go that, man. The reason you can't do it, and I'll tell you why, and I'm not ducking your question, but the reason, at least I can't go there, is because each one has its own meaning. You know what I mean? It speaks for itself. It has its own song. It's like, if you were sitting and listening to Stardust, that's different from Body and Soul. But yet they both are beautiful songs. You understand me? And these awards were wonderful things, and they were given to me in the best of spirit. And I truly, I don't know how to explain it, you know, because I'm so well, I'm just touched by the love that people have shown me. That's why I don't have any bodyguards, as you notice. It's just me and the guy that's with me. You know, I don't have no big entourage, a bunch of people hanging on me and all that. You see, so I couldn't just pick out one award and say, oh, well, that was the greatest, because they all have different meaning. You know, I mean, I couldn't take the medallion of France and say, well,
right.
Jesus, that means more to me than the award, the Kennedy Center or the B. Maybrith Award. You can't, because they all have their own power.
And how would you like to be remembered?
When all is said and done, that I was sincere in my music. That would be enough for me. In other words, I never tried to cheat. I never tried to fool the people. If I had 500 people or 5,000, I would work just as diligently for that 500, because I would rather for them to go away and say, well, it wasn't too many of us there, but boy, he put on a hell of a show. You guys, as opposed to saying, well, there's 500 people, there wasn't too many people there, and he was a drag anyway. I'm sorry I went. I'm always, when I do my music, whether it's in recording or whether it's for the audience on stage, I truly give the people my all, and I'm very critical of myself. You know, a lot of times things I think that was not too good, other people think that, what did you find wrong with it? It sound all right to me, but I know it could have been better. Maybe I missed it that night, or missed the point, or missed this whatever. But the point is that if they would just remember and say one thing about old Brother Ray, he was always honest with his music. I like that.
Thank you, Ray Charles.
You're welcome, sir.
You're a genius.
All right, brother. Thank you.
With me now is the most legendary blues musician in the world today, winner of 5 Grammys, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, B.B. King. You have done more to bring the blues to everyone around the world than any other musician. In doing that, you've kind of created for yourself a position in the blues industry where you are the king in more ways than one. Now, does that create for you some additional responsibility? Does it create pressure for you? How do you fit into that role as now being the elder statesman of the blues industry?
Well, for one thing, I never consider myself the king. Other people call me that. I think of, but I never call myself that. But one thing I think, though, I have felt that since I've been somewhat successful and I've in carrying the blues around in different places, I felt that the better and the more consistent I am, the better it will be for people to follow me that are younger and better, you might say, coming later. I also feel that I'm an entertainer, and the blues has not had the best name, if you will, through the years. So I kind of got a responsibility to try and show people both sides. There's that side that most people think of when you say blues. Oh my God, they're blues. And then there's that other side, that the other side of the coin, that tunes like Sweet Little Angel, the guy's not blue at all. He's having fun. Other words, the joyous side as well as the sad side.
Why do you think the blues is so popular today compared to 20 years ago?
A lot of the kids, especially young white kids today, young white kids that play it, support it, and they play it well. And there's blues clubs, blues societies, I should say, that's popping up all over the place now. And that's been a big help to the blues. There are blues superstars now, the late Stevie Ray Vaughan. There's a young guy today called Robert Cray, that's a superstar. We have a Canadian person named Jeff Healey. I started out in gospel and started out wanting to be a gospel singer. I never thought that I'd ever be a blues singer. But when I got to be a teenager, I used to sit on the street corners and play, and not asking anyone to put something in the hat, but be happy if they did. Usually when people ask me to sing gospel songs, they would always praise me, pat me on the shoulder and on the head and said, "Son, that's great. If you keep it up, you're going to be great one day." But they never did tip. But people...
You get all that spiritual feeling there, right? Yeah.
But people that would ask me to sing and play blues would always give me a tip. That was the motivation.
You were recently, we alluded to it, at the Kennedy Center Honors, where you were honored by the greatest peers in the country, and including the president was there, Mrs. Clinton. I guess you were honored at the White House prior to the dinner.
Right.
What did you talk to Bill Clinton about?
Well, first I asked him that he had just got in about 2 hours before the ceremonies was at the White House. And I said, "Mr. President, aren't you a bit tired? You just came from Europe." And he said, "No, BB, I'm not really tired." He said, "I had a good rest on Air Force One." I said, "Yes, sir." And we just generally talked. We talked about music just a little bit. I told him that someday when he's not so busy, I'd like to sit in with him playing his horn. And he smiled and said, "Yes, I'll think about it," he said. And it's just general conversation. He was real nice to us, treated us very nice.
It's funny that you ask him about his trips, because you probably travel more than the president does.
Yes, I'm sure I do.
You were just telling me a little bit earlier that you cut down your travel load from 300 nights a year to 260.
Yes, we did, I think, 260 concerts. I don't want to spoil my glory there, but sometimes we don't play as many days as we have the concerts, because sometimes we do 2 concerts per day. So that's how the concerts add up. So sometimes we may do 200 days with 250 concerts. I hope I'm making some sense.
Yeah, no, I'm following. You people following? Yeah, they're following.
Okay, so I don't want to really tear down my glory there.
Whether it's 260 or 230 cities, it doesn't matter. It's a lot of days, a lot of traveling,
yes,
a lot of frequent flyer miles on that bus of yours. Where do you think music is at today?
Well, the blues is more popular than it's been since I've been trying to play it. Music as a whole, I think we got some good music. There's a lot of good musicians. I think a lot of the adults give some of the young people kind of a bad rap as far as some of the music's concerned. But I look back and think myself, when I was a teenager and we was playing boogie woogie, my family wasn't always crazy about it. So when rock and roll came along, a lot of the families wasn't too crazy about it. And a lot of the music, rap and some of the other, I should say, today is not so popular with families. But to me, I think it's very creative to be a rap artist. The only thing that bothers me is some of them use a lot of 4-letter words that I don't think that they need to. I don't mean golf either. So, I think that it's sort of like movies. If a movie needs a nude scene to make a point, okay, but just to put it in there, just to put it in, I don't think is the way it should be. And the same thing I think about rap. But you try to rhyme everything you say and you find that it's a problem. It's a problem. So these kids that's doing it, they're very talented, very talented. And a lot of the musicians that are playing are very talented. Someone asked me, I believe yesterday, "B, do you listen to young people?" And I said, "Yeah." And "Do you learn anything?" And I said, "Yes." "Do you use any of it?" And I hesitated, but yes, I do. I learn from some of them, and I use some of the things that they do, because they come up with some very good ideas. And by the way, this is their time. And I don't kick the music. I think that I think we got a lot of good musicians, and it's going to be a lot coming out of it that's going to stay.
I told you earlier that I personally just started recently playing guitar.
I'm waiting for my lesson.
Yeah, and it's a labor. I mean, it's a labor for me, to practice. And do you still practice?
Oh yes. Yes.
And
never enough.
And do you have calluses on your fingers? I mean, they're smooth. They're smooth. I mean, this man has. I mean, everybody tells you when you play guitar, you get those calluses and those hard. He has smooth fingertips. So when you practice those slides, and I mean, it doesn't. Doesn't rough them up anymore.
Yes, it does. But what I do that some don't, I don't like my guitar strings way up off the neck.
Right.
It's been times I used to play, sometimes my fingers would bleed. It's corns there, but they're soft now. They're not the hard ones like you see. If I don't play any for about a week and a half, if I don't pick up the guitar and play in a week and a half, my fingers then get to be very tender, and then, excuse me, and for the first 2 or 3 dates that I play, I'm in misery. Because the first day they get sore, very sore. The second day you got to play on that soreness. And the third day is still sore, and that's when you develop that this year. But I keep the action pretty low.
Pretty low. Which means keeping the strings low, close to the neck.
I'm sorry, I should.
That's okay. Hey, I feel it's like I'm in a trade here, right?
Yeah, right.
Is it harder for you to move your fingers as you,
as you get older?
As you get older.
No, your fingers somewhat get trained to do what you do. It's sort of like singing songs. There's certain songs in my head that I can say without even thinking hardly. Just the song is so-and-so, and I can get right in it. Mm-hmm. But then to learn a new song, though, it's more of a problem today than it used to be. To get a new song, I'm talking to stay in there. I can see it, right, then do it. Well, my fingers, to learn them to do new things, sometimes is a bit of a problem. It's funny that you would ask, but yes, I have arthritis in here, and yes, they bothers me sometimes. Sometimes they do bother me. I find myself now trying to hold a pick. I need a little better of a grip, so sometimes if you see me playing, you see me do this and grab the pick. Dave, you didn't know that, did you? But I do that so I can get a better grip on the pick. So yes, I have more of a problem today, but after I get started, it's the sound is to my ears is so soothing, I forget all about it.
Do you play anything else other than the guitar?
I don't play anything as well, which I do better on the guitar than anything else, but violin a little bit. I run scales on violin. I used to have one, and the clarinet. I learned to read pretty well with the clarinet, faster rather than I do with the guitar. Mm-hmm. Play a little bass, little drums, little piano, and a little guitar.
That's a lot. Who would you like to play with who you haven't played with yet?
Oh, gosh. I wish you had asked me who I would not like to play with, and I could answer you much easier.
Okay.
I can't think of anybody I would not like to play with. So,
okay.
You name them, I'd like to. Oh, yeah. Eric Clapton, I'd like to do a thing with. Oh, gosh. There are just so many. That's the first one coming to mind, but
okay.
Oh boy, there are so many. I really don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for spending some time with us. And
maybe Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
And this gentleman lives in Nevada, and it would be okay with us if you stayed home a little bit more and hung around the neighborhood a little bit.
Thank you. I'd like that.
Thank you, B.B.
The thrill